In this video, we are going to cover what exactly is a skill or agent skills and how you can use your first skill. Let's go into the definition first. What exactly are the skills? So skills are nothing but organized packages of instructions, executable code and resources that gives our agent specialized capabilities for any specific task. Now, what does it mean? Let's try to understand it with one example. So let's say you are working in an enterprise and you have to create a specific technical documentation or PPT in a very specific format. So earlier you were just passing some prompts to your agent to create PPT or technical documentation. In that particular prompt, you may specify like what exactly you need in the presentation or documentation, what are the different criteria that it has to consider, what should be the font, what should be the icons and all those things. And every time actually you have to pass that certain prompt whenever actually you are trying to create any kind of presentation or technical documentation. Now, instead of using prompt, you can use skills over there, and these skills are going to be shareable. Let's say if someone else has to consider like similar kind of pattern, then they can just use your skill. And there are certain advantages of using skills instead of prompts, which we are going to cover in some time. But skills are going to be very helpful in these kind of scenarios. So when we say, okay, this is an organized package of instruction, executable code, resources, then what do we mean exactly? So for that, actually, we have to look into this particular structure. So this is going to be your complete skill folder. Your skill name is going to be at the top. And after that, you have to pass your instructions in SKILL.md file. Please do note that skills is going to be in the capital letters. And this is a required one, as you can see over here. If this file is not there, then it means like you are not defining your skill. After that, all these additional folders that you see over here, these are all optional, but this gives certain structure to your folder. So let's say if you have to pass certain kind of code, then you can pass it under script. If you have to pass certain kind of guideline, then you can pass it under references. If there are certain assets, then you can pass it under assets folder. In short, that's how actually you can define your skills. So these skills are going to be in two format. One is going to be pre-built skills and other is going to be custom skills, which we can create it on our own. So let's look into some pre-built skills as of now. So if we want to check any kind of skill, then there are a lot of repos available on GitHub. So one is from the GitHub itself. This repo name is Awesome Copilot. And under this, you can go to this skills folder, and once you click on this, you can see all the skills which has been created here. Similarly, on Anthropic GitHub repo also, there is a skill folder. You can click on that particular skill, and then you can see all the skills over here. Now we can open like any of the skills as such. So you can see there are specific skill for Canva design. There is a skill for how to handle doc. There is a front-end design skill. MCP builder skill, there is a PDF, PPT, different kind of skills are available. So let's open one of the skill. I can probably open PPT, and under PPT you can see like as per our structure. So the first main file is going to be skill.md file. If I open this file and if I click on this code tab, then you can see the first of all, whenever we define any kind of skills, there are going to be name and description. Now this piece is very important. But let's see the structure of this skill. So first of all, you are defining, this is a YAML formatter, and under this we are defining our name and descriptions, like what is the name of this skill and what this skill usually do. So you can see the details of this particular skills over here, and after that there are some references it has given. The thing what you have to notice over here is how actually we are specifically passing the instruction in this case. So we are giving the design ideas, and here we are saying like don't create a boring slides. It's a plain bullets on white background, won't suppress anyone. And then there are certain instructions like what we have to do before starting, the color palette, what we have to choose. And for each slide, what is going to be the layout, how we are going to display the data, what is going to be our formatting thing. And at the same point of time, like what is going to be typography for this, the spacing and what we have to avoid, the Q&A. That's where the skill is going to be very powerful, because all these things actually you can provide it in detail. And then every time when the agent is going to refer this skill, it is going to follow the instruction which has been given over here. Now this is going to be our main file, which is going to be the skill.md. As we have covered earlier, this is one of the required file in this case, but there are some additional file also which has been referenced through skill.md, a number of files in this case. If it is getting too difficult to put everything into one skill.md file, but every time actually we have to give reference to the other files via this skill.md file. So in this case also you can see there is a quick reference, and it's saying like for read analyze content you have to run this. For edit or create from template, then you have to refer this editing.md file, and then create from scratch, it has to refer this particular md file. So every time based on the given input, agent intelligence would come into picture and it will decide what exactly it has to refer to. For creating edit or creating a template, it can refer editing.md, otherwise it can refer this .md file for creating from scratch. And here also we can go to the code. There are certain instructions put over here. In this case you can see like there is no YAML formatter required because these are the supporting files. So we don't have to put like any kind of YAML formatter at the top. And there is another folder over here which is going to contain like some kind of Python file which we want our agent to execute. So that is going to be in the script folder. As you can see over here at slide, there is a particular function for that. Similarly, for other functionality also, certain code has been given. Now, it's not mandatory that you have to pass the code and all the additional files in all the skills. It totally depends on what we are trying to achieve it via skills. The only mandatory thing is skill.md file. Similarly, we can go to the PDF skill also. In this case, also you can see there is a script folder and a lot of code has been passed over here. And then there is a forms and reference additional file. You can also go to the skill.md. You can read it from here if you want to read it in a format, or we can go to the code section also. So in this case, you can see what exactly is this skill is doing and what are the different functionality it can achieve. So there is a merge PDF, a split PDF. There are a number of things which we can add it in the skills, and that this we can pass it into an agent. Now you must be wondering, isn't it just prompts which we are passing into the skills? In a way, actually we are passing all these instructions in the skills.md file, but there is a one important concept which differs this particular skill from prompts. So that concept is called progressive disclosure. So normally when we pass like any kind of prompt, like we can pass this bunch of prompt, and all this prompt is going to get stored in the context window. So every time when we are trying to execute an agent, then it has to have all those prompts there in the context window before actually it can take any action. In this case also, in the skills, you can see there are a lot of files that we can pass it. Ultimately, what would happen if all these files gets loaded in one shot, then we would be filling the context window just like prompts. But what happened in the progressive disclosure, not each and every information is going to get loaded in the context window as soon as we pass the skill. So the progressive disclosure happens at 3 levels. At the first level, only the metadata is going to get stored in the context window. So that metadata is basically that YAML formatter which we have seen in the skill.md file, and in that case it is only going to have the name and the description. So what is the name of this skill and what it does? Only this information is going to get stored in the context window. And once agent decides, okay, like it has to trigger this particular skill, then it's going to load the whole body of skill.md. This is going to get loaded at level 2 when the agent decide, okay, now it has to use this particular skill and now it's need like more information around it. At level 3, all the additional linked files what we have seen, that is going to get triggered when agent decide, okay, it has to actually use it. So that's where like it differs from the prompt, because whenever we are passing a prompt, you are putting all information in the context window, but here the context window is going to get filled in a lazy loading format. So as soon as something is required, then only that information is going to get loaded in the context window. That's where it provides the flexibility where your skill can be very complicated. You can pass like n number of codes, n number of additional files, but still your skills is not going to consume a lot of space in the context window. And this we can understand it using this particular diagram. So here you can see the relation between the skills and the context window. And the context window, you can see there is going to be system prompt, which is going to be agent system prompt, and then there are n number of skills. All skills are loaded over here, but only the YAML formatter. So that's why actually we can place n number of skills in the context window, because we are not putting everything related to skills in the context window. It's only the name and description. Now, when the initial message from the user is going to come, it's going to say, okay, fill out this PDF based on what you know about me. As soon as agent reads this particular PDF, it will decide, okay, just to work on this, it needs a PDF skill based on the name and description what it has. And then it's going to trigger that. Now the level 2 is going to get triggered, where it's going to read the content of this MD file. And then at level 3, based on the instructions what you have seen in the body, it's going to decide, okay, it has to trigger the reference file also, which were mentioned in the SKILL.md, because filling the form instructions are listed in the forms.md file. Now this is where the level 3 is going to get triggered. And after that, actually you are going to get the output. So that's the relation between the skills and the context window. Now let's try to explore some of the pre-built skills. So for that, the easiest way to do it is using Claude. Please help me to create 2-page slides on multi-agent framework using PPT skills. Now you can see like the first step what it's doing, it's reading that PPT skill and it's trying to create a PPT for us. And as you have seen, like it's setting up npm and ppt xgen.js. You can also expand it and see actually what exactly is happening. These specific skill, I don't have to enable it specifically because these skills are already integrated with Claude. So we just have to pass the instruction and it is going to work on that particular skill and will create an output for us. So meanwhile, this diagram is getting generated. What if we have to do same thing on VS Code? In that case, you can just create like your folder as such, and you can open Copilot chat. And once you open the Copilot chat, you can go to this configure chat, and here you can see there is an option of the skills. You can create on this particular skill, and you can see all the skills which are already available. So I do have a lot of skills available from Azure. In this case, we don't have like any inbuilt skill as such for creating PPT. So what I can do, like I can add a new skill. Now in this case, it's saying whether I want to open it under this particular folder. So if this is related to any workspace or project, then you can just select from top 3. And if it is your personal skill, so that's why my specific folder is coming over here. So we can select this. In this case, if this is related to a specific project, so I'm just going to select GitHub skills, and I can just name it PPTX skill. So it has created like this kind of folder where we do have a skill, then PPTX skill, and under this we do have this skill.md file. In this case, because we don't have functionality to import anything as such, so I can just modify this one which has been created by what I have seen on the GitHub. On the GitHub repo, we had like all this file. So I can just copy paste all these files from here, and I can just go into this PPTX one, which we have created it manually, and I can just paste it here. Now I have the same capability what we have seen earlier, and in this case, if I have to just invoke this particular skill, then first thing what you have to do is I have to go to settings, and we have to make sure the skill box is on. So I'm just going to skills, and here I can just see, okay, this box is on where I'm saying, okay, chat using agent skills. Now once this is on, I can just specifically invoke the skills here, and I can just say PPTX, and this is coming because our name is like this, and I can just pass the same instruction over here. Please help me to create a 2-page slides on multi-agent framework using, and I don't have to pass any specific skills as such because we are specifically invoking it. Here my model is HiQ 4.5, but in Claude we were using 4.6. Now in this case also it has started reading this particular skills what we have passed, and it's also invoking this PPTX gen.js.md. So same setup actually it has been following over here also. and it's going to create the PPT accordingly. But let's see whether the PPT has been created or not using Claude. And you can see over here it has created this 2-page PPT based on the skills what we have provided earlier. Similar kind of output we can expect from the VS Code also. As I stated earlier, like you can also actually edit all these skills and pass your enterprise input into it, so that like you can get the look and feel of your enterprise PPT. But in next video we will try to explore how we can create our own skills and then pass it to agent to perform any specific task. That's all what we have in this video. Thank you for watching.